You know, I get very, very tired, America, welcome, of people who claim to be constitutionalists who don't know their ass from a hole in the ground. They go to the Constitution and they say, you need a declaration of war for virtually every military action you take. Really? That wasn't James Madison's view. And yet we have a commander-in-chief. A commander-in-chief doesn't serve at the behest of Congress. So there's some ambiguity. Where there's absolutely no ambiguity is if Congress really wants to prevent a commander-in-chief from taking military action, they have the power of the purse. In this, there is no dispute. So Congress has the power to cut off funding. Now, Congress eventually did that in the Vietnam War, which is how the North Vietnamese and the Viet Cong won over Gerald Ford's veto. They prevented any more funds to be used prosecuting the Vietnam War. So Congress has that power without dispute. The problem is, for many of these phony constitutionalists, they don't have the votes to do that. They don't have the votes. Presidents have gone to Congress and have declared war, and presidents have not. Now, in many ways, it's like what Justice Potter Stewart said about pornography. I know it when I see it. That is, if you're going to have an all-out war, you need to declare war. And one of the main reasons you need to do that is to get the body politic behind you and get the American people behind you. Get American industry, the economy, the media behind a war effort. But you can't declare war every time terrorists attack the United States or every time a terrorist state, through its surrogates, or Congress will be passing nothing but declarations of war. The economy will be focused on war. And that doesn't make a whole lot of sense. So how do we know? Well, Congress has addressed it really since our beginning. They've passed many laws to try and decide and interpret with presidential signatures what it means and under what circumstances. And under what circumstances? Now, it would seem to me, America, when the Islamo-Nazi regime in Tehran hits us for the 166th damn time, that Joe Biden's appeasement has provoked war against us by the Iranian regime, which was rearmed by Biden, which was funded by Biden with the flow of oil coming back. Just as Hamas and UNRWA was funded by Biden even after Trump cut it off. Just like the PLO was funded by Biden even after Trump cut it off. They keep talking about, we don't want war with Iran. The response to Iran killing 3 of our soldiers and injuring over 40, it was only a matter of time, is we don't want war and we don't want to expand what's going on in the Middle East. But they have expanded what's going on in the Middle East. And Iran wants war. And Iran wants nukes. And so what they've seen under Biden for almost 3 years straight now is not just appeasement, but absolute selling out. You don't give your enemy money. You cut off money, directly or indirectly. And you sure don't keep saying, we don't want war. We don't want to expand the conflict. If you don't want war and you don't want to expand the conflict, the enemy has to guess. The enemy has to fear. The enemy has to respect you. You don't keep telling them what a coward you are. You have to make them guess and wonder. But even better, you punch a bully in the nose. Now, maybe some of these so-called constitutionalists have never been in a fight. And I'm not even talking about a military fight, but a real fight. What we have here are the howlings of libertarian isolationists and left-wing anti-Americans when 3 Americans are killed by the enemy. Over 40 are injured. We have an obligation to defend our troops. Not to debate it, to defend them. What's going on here now with Biden is outrageous. There should have been an immediate response in anticipation of something like this. Why? Because everybody, including me behind this microphone and in front of the Fox camera, in front of the Blaze camera, has said, our troops, somebody's going to get killed. And they're not even ready for it. And so now we debate for 2 or 3 days. Well, I don't want to provoke. We're not going to war. I mean, the declaration of war. There's this. No wonder young people don't want to sign up to join the United States military. With the a-holes on Capitol Hill between the libertarian isolationists and the left-wing anti-Americans, we're attacked. Our people are killed. And we have to think about it. No, I have a better idea. We have to pretend the Constitution requires that we have a declaration of war to defend in real time our men and women who've been killed. 3 people were killed, by the way, all African Americans from Georgia. One was 46, one was 24, one was 23. Patriots. Patriots. Was Ronald Reagan purposely defying the Constitution? When in I think it was 87, destroyed half the Iranian Navy, he didn't go to Congress and say, I need a declaration of war. He said, you set mines, it hit one of our freighters, and now I'm going to punish your ass. And that's what he did. Now, there's the War Powers Act. You can notify Congress, and it has all kind of triggers in it. Make sure Congress has information. Supreme Court has upheld it. So this has been somewhat of a struggle, even from the founding time to today. Exactly when do you have to do it? So people throw down the gauntlet and say, like our buddy Massey and our buddy Lee, oh, no, you got to declare war in every instance. That's insane. It's inaccurate, and it's going to get a lot of people killed. That's not what the Constitution compels. But if you guys have a problem with us defending ourselves, you say the president has to seek a declaration of war. You have the power to go to the floor of the Senate. You have the power to go to the floor of the House and say, we need a vote on whether to fund this or not. And see if they have the votes. But you don't. You don't because you don't. Well, let's stop playing games. This is part of the problem. Every now and then we get people, why does he talk so much about the Middle East and Israel? Because World War III is upon us. It's upon us with communist China, and it's upon us with Iran. That's why. Because we just lost soldiers. That's why. And we are not prepared for what's coming, especially with this Nimrod, this bonehead in the Oval Office, who does exactly the wrong thing every single time. And I've had it with this guy, Kirby. Kirby, what a propagandist buffoon that guy is. We have this group, UNRWA. This group was set up under the UN for the specific purpose of helping to educate, feed, and clothe and house the Palestinian refugees in Gaza. Now, why are there Palestinian refugees in Gaza? Did somebody stop the Palestinians in Gaza from creating a vibrant society? Yes, Hamas, Islamic Jihad. No, it's the Jews stopped them, don't you know? They're so bad. The United Nations. Remember all these cases, the blue hats in Africa? They were raping the girls. The blue hats. The UN is poison. It's a hellhole. Makes the bar scene at Star Wars look really, highbrow. And the Israelis have warned 1,300 of the people who work for UNRWA are sympathetic or actively supporting Hamas in one way or another. Kirby goes to the microphone and he says, there's like 10,000 people there with UNRWA. And you only have 13. You only have 13? And I thought to myself, you know what, if I had been a reporter there and I would have said to Kirby, really, only 13 who participated in October 7th? Well, be glad it wasn't your wife. Or your daughter, assuming you have a wife or a daughter, because then I think it would get your attention. I despise people like this, who speak out of both sides of their mouths and then out of their ass. I despise it. I despise the idiot, the regular spokesperson. You get no information from these people. And it's constantly election time propaganda. I mean, the biggest story of last week, shockingly, was at Axios, which I can't stand, but there it was. Barack Levin. 2 senior American officials on a phone call between Biden and Netanyahu for 40 minutes. Biden said, you got to end this because there's elections coming up. How come that transcript isn't released? How come that transcript isn't leaked? Wouldn't you like to read that? So for Joe Biden, the life and death of the state of Israel and the Jewish people is about his election. Look what's going on now with our people in the Middle East. I told you before, they're sitting ducks. He's not defending them. You can't pinprick the Houthis. And Iran's going to sit there and say, okay, you keep shooting, as Michael Waltz said on Fox today, you keep shooting $2 million missiles to shoot down $40,000 drones. You can't keep that up for too long. And that's what's going on. But you can do the research I've done over the decades on the Declaration of War, part of the Constitution. You can do it yourself. The Declare War Clause. We don't have a lot of judicial decisions. We have a few. We have one in 1863, the prize cases, upheld Abraham Lincoln blockading the southern states without further authorization from Congress. You can look at the 1800 case, Bass versus Tingy. Talks about Congress's broad powers, but it doesn't give any guidance to a president, and nor should it. The courts really shouldn't be deciding these matters. But to throw down a gauntlet and say the president has no power to do this or that, our problem with this president is he won't use his power properly, whether securing the border or defeating our enemies. Our military is deteriorating to a point of absolute weakness. Our border has deteriorated to a point of not being a border. Our men and women in uniform know the commander-in-chief doesn't have their back, whether it's Afghanistan or now in the Middle East. Wokeism, DEI, that's the corner of the realm. And I'm not going to sit here and listen to people who are my friends, Massey and Lee, going about how the Constitution prevents, response to this without a declaration of war. Bull crap. You guys even know what the hell you're talking about? Well, if we hit Iran, hit Iran. You don't have to hit them all over the place. Hit them hard enough. We've had presidents who've done it, including Reagan, Mr. Constitution, and it worked. Or we're going to keep losing soldiers.